You ever just stop and wonder how anything lasts? I don't just mean us. I mean an idea, a business, a piece of music, even an entire civilization. Well, it turns out there's this hidden blueprint, a kind of universal pattern for survival that everything that sticks around seems to share. So let's dive in and see if we can figure out what it is. Okay, so first we have to start with the big problem. The universe, by its very nature, loves to fall apart. It has this relentless pull towards disorder and chaos. Physicists call it entropy. And it's really the bad guy in our story, always trying to tear everything down. So the real question is, how does anything possibly win that fight? Because here's the thing. The challenge is the same for everybody and everything. A single cell, a global economy, it doesn't matter. You're always juggling the same three pressures. That constant push from entropy, the fact that you have a limited memory, and the huge energy cost it takes just to stay organized. It's this exhausting, never-ending battle. And yet, some things don't just survive, do they? They persist. And they do it by running the same surprisingly simple four-step loop over and over again. It's called the persistence preservation cycle, or PPC, and this is the absolute bare minimum structure you need to hold yourself together in a universe that wants to do the exact opposite. Step 1 is prediction. See, to beat entropy, you can't just react when it hits you. You have to get out ahead of it. Any system that lasts is constantly building a model of what's coming next. And look, this isn't about having a crystal ball. It's about lowering the energy bill you pay for being surprised all the time. Next up, you've got modulation. Think of this as the system's internal brakes. Without it, the system would just totally overreact to every little bump in the road, creating these chaotic swings and just burning through precious energy. Modulation is what keeps things stable. It stops the system from tearing itself apart from the inside. The third step is where things get really clever: externalization. Every system has a memory limit, a ceiling. So to get more complex, it has to figure out a way to store information outside of itself. For life, that's DNA. For us, it's language, books, tools, computers, you name it. It's basically a genius hack to get around a hard physical limit. And the final piece of the puzzle is feedback. This is the reality check. The system makes its prediction, then it looks at what actually happened, and it uses that difference, the error, to update its internal map of the world. Without feedback, that map would drift further and further from reality until it's totally useless. Feedback is what keeps it honest. So, here's the most important part. This is not a checklist you do once. It is a relentless, recursive loop. You predict, you modulate, you externalize, you get feedback, and then you use that feedback to make a better prediction. The cycle has to run constantly, without stopping. If it stops, you stop. It's that simple. And this is where the whole idea just explodes in scale. Because this four-step loop isn't just for one kind of system. No way. It's a fractal pattern. The exact same survival structure shows up whether you're looking at a single thought firing in your brain, a giant corporation, or an entire civilization. Just take a look at how this plays out. For a company, right? Prediction is their market forecasting. Modulation, that's budget control. Externalization is actually building the products and the factories. And the feedback, well, that's your profit and loss statement. Now, what about a civilization? Prediction is science. Modulation is law and government. Externalization is building libraries and cities. And feedback comes in the form of things like elections and social unrest. It's the same engine, just running on a different OS. Which, of course, brings up a massive question. Why these four steps? Is this just some cosmic coincidence? And the answer is a hard no. This loop isn't some clever design that a system chooses to adopt. It's a structure that is literally forced into existence by the fundamental laws of physics. Each of these phases is a direct answer to an unavoidable physical problem. Prediction is your only real weapon against future entropy. Modulation is what you need to stay stable when you're constantly losing energy. Externalization is the only way to break through that hard memory ceiling. And feedback? It's the only tool you have to stop your model of the world from becoming a fantasy. You take away any one of these, and the whole system is guaranteed to collapse. So we have this amazing fractal pattern that repeats itself, but and this is a huge but, it's not a perfect, infinite fractal like you'd see in a math textbook. It's a bounded fractal. It's constrained at every single level by those physical limits we were just talking about. A mathematical fractal can just keep zooming in forever, with perfect detail. But the PPC can't. At every scale, the loop smacks into hard limits. a memory ceiling it can't get past, and a finite amount of energy that can and will run out. The best analogy is a tree, right? Its branching pattern is fractal for sure, but the tree can't grow to the moon. Gravity and its own structural limits stop it. The pattern is similar at different scales, but its growth is always finite. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that persistence is not some lazy, passive state of being. It's an active, dangerous, and incredibly demanding job. Everything you see around you that has managed to last is running this cycle, non-stop, operating on a razor's edge between holding it all together and collapsing into absolute chaos. And that leaves us with one last, really deep question to chew on. If this four-step loop is the universal requirement for just existing over time, then is this whole process of predicting, modulating, externalizing, and correcting just a blueprint for survival? Or could it be the deepest, most fundamental structure of what we call intelligence itself?